Is it just a vanity project, or is it going to be? Is it going to do well?
Oh, they're crazy. Why does it cost so much?
Right.
I don't understand.
Axel, hi, and welcome to Happy.
Yes, I too, and great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. So look, we should talk about the Rhodes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
please, yeah.
the Mark 8. So you're credited with the exterior design. I'm sure you were involved from the very early stages. Tell us a bit about when they approached you and what that conversation was like.
Well, they approached me through Dan Goldman. He's a Goldman. He's unbelievable, Dan. I knew him from some videos that sometimes I just at Facebook, there's something popping up that I like, and he's a great player.
Yep.
And a great musician. And he was calling me 2.5 years ago for Rhodes. And he told me the story about Rhodes, that they kind of made a contract with Brandstätter, who's kind of owning the brand. You probably know the background. And they wanted me to be involved into this project. I remember maybe 10 years before that, or 8 years before that, I had that call from Brandstätter to design the Mark 7, and I sent him an offer, but he didn't want it. He made it with a local industrial design company, which is fine. But I was a bit sad back then because the Rhodes was such an influential instrument for me.
I didn't know that story. That's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a Mark 1 when I was like 16 or 17. I didn't buy, my grandfather bought it for me, And I had, it was such an influential time for me, and it was like sitting there for me playing with my bands. It was a matter of love and hate until I exchanged it with a CP70, which is what I actually really wanted. I wanted a real stage piano. But back in the days, in the 70s, you didn't have a lot of options, You had the Rhodes, and then there was the first electronic instruments were popping up, but they didn't feel right. The Rhodes is something that is so organic.
Absolutely.
It's really more than just what I thought it should be. It should be my piano on stage, my stage piano, but it sounds totally different.
Yeah, I know.
It has its own sound. So it also influenced the way you play and you listen. So it was a real experience that kind of deeply inspired me. And I was a bit sad when I didn't get that job with Brandstätter, I must say. I was really sad. I thought, well, why? Why? Because I knew I can do the job. I can do a good job on that. And I knew exactly what the people want. They don't want a piano that looks like a Cadillac. They want something that kind of tickles their nerves, that reminds them on the beauty of the instrument when it came up. This is what it was my second chance when Dan called me, and I was like, I get still getting goosebumps when I think of it. It was like, Dan is such a friendly person. He's like approaching me like I was a superstar, like that. And I said, okay, hey, I'm so glad you're calling. Let's do that together. And he's my first contact person into this new Rhodes company back then. And we kind of it was a close relationship. I knew what a Rhodes needs to have, to make a nice Rhodes. He knows much better. So because he's like a nerd, he's inside this instrument like nobody else on this planet, I think. And so this cooperation was just so inspirational. And Dan is such a nice person. It was really fun to work on that. And then I created these first designs. We always work in several rounds when we do an industrial design. So we work out a few ideas and we show them our clients. And it was also, it's such a positive vibe. And I must confess, because the Rhodes is such a complex instrument, there's so much mechanics going on in there. I must confess, in the beginning, I thought, okay, we can try that, but I don't know if this guy is really gonna make it to the final product.
Right.
Because it's such enormous how to say, challenge to have everything right.
Well, they're sourcing different things. They're sourcing keyboards. They're sourcing different elements from different parts of the world as well. A best-in-class approach can take years to get right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they made it. They have, I think, a good foundation. Matt Pelling and Tim Dawson, their managing directors, they have a good background. So they really put a lot of effort and money into this project, more than anybody else probably had tried before. And now they have a proper Mark 8. I think I played this instrument at Superbooth this year in May, first time. And it just blew me away, because everything that I hated at my Rhodes Mark I was gone. The keyboard feels nice and balanced. It's direct. It can have all the sounds that you want from a Rhodes. It's really a great instrument. And bringing that all together, I can only say from my experience that this is really, really something.
Cool.
I think a brand like Roland or Yamaha, they would never do something like that.
No, it's a bold move, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And I want to be devil's advocate just for a second. It is the age of the clone and the reissue. There's no doubt about it. The old brands are recognizing the appetite for a new generation who wants the old stuff. What I've seen happen, I've seen Roland do it with reissues of their old synths in smaller formats. I even bought a JU, like a Juno clone, and I don't like it. But people are buying them, they're lapping them up. And the rule of thumb is that they're cheaper, they're more accessible, they sound just as good. But the Rhodes is breaking those rules. I have a 73. Absolutely. I've got a Mark 1. I love it. It's horrible to play, but everybody loves it. The sound is incredible, but I could probably sell it for $7,000, maybe $8,000. If I'm going to buy a Mark 8, it's almost double that in Australia. The devil's advocate in me is saying, God, I hope it does well, but is there going to be a market for this thing? Is it just a vanity project, or is it going to do well?
Yeah, I totally get that. And I also read the comments when you on the social media, and they do their advertising there, and when you read the comments, many of them say, oh, they're crazy, why does it cost so much? Right. I don't understand, why can't they build something for the people, and things like that, But this instrument is really, it's a mechanical instrument. It's built with love. They don't earn a lot of money with it, believe me. It's just that expensive to build something like that in today's times. And I see it more like it's not a reissue of something. It's just the next step in the story. It's Great. Just like if Steinway comes up with a new grand piano. I must really say it's not like a mock-up of something that's been there. It's the next step in the story. And so they don't mimic something. They just have something and make it really good.
Well, I think we've got about half a dozen or so coming to Australia. Our hope is that we get one here that we can demo and do a video on. I hope that the company does well. I've spoken to a few team members there, and the passion is absolutely infectious. So they're all very excited to be doing what they're doing, and I think it's fantastic that they got you involved.
Even if I'm working for so many different companies and you find their image in the instruments, I hope there's something to find that is my language, that is, it's my mindset, when I start sorting out functions. But it's not only the industrial design. In many cases, I get an idea of how the interface should look, but then I start rearranging and emphasizing certain parts and things like that.